Hi and welcome to Project Marlin. Today's probably going to be a fairly short video. It's about putting the access cover back into the tank of the Marlin, sorting the gasket out. So it's going to be more about the gasket than it is about putting the cover in, but we'll just go through it. So we've got the access plate here. Part of the problem is this is what's left of the gasket. So I don't think, we're not going to be putting water in the tank anytime soon, but there's no point in putting this back in. So I needed a new gasket. Now I could just buy a sheet of rubber and cut it out myself, but I know what I'm like, getting the holes in the right place. And I think this has been lead on. It looks like somebody's run a drill bit down through looking at these holes. I don't know if you can see that on there. They're a bit, just could be they're old. Anyway, gasket's not a lot of good. So we've got this. Very, very pleased with this. And I had this made by a company called Keith Payne Products. I actually contacted probably 5 or 6 companies, and disappointingly nobody got back to me, apart from, and it's not disappointing that Keith Payne Products got back to me. I'm very pleased they got back to me, but nobody else did. Now let's have a look, see if it's got the invoice here. I'll tell you how much I paid for it. No, it hasn't, it's just got a delivery note. I think I paid about £35 for this gasket. It was custom made, but it was made to a drawing that I did, and I'll show you how to do the drawings in the later part of this video. And this is the first time I've got it out. As you can see there, I'm very pleased at that. That's the first time I've had something made from a drawing that I've done, and that's actually all lined, seems to have lined up. Although this gasket must have shrunk quite a bit, because none of these line up. Oh, there we go. I had it around the wrong way. So yeah, it lines up with the old gasket, lines up with the new one. Very, very pleased. Now I'm going to try and mount you onto a headband and take you into the tank. Oh dear. Right, we're up on top of the truck. We need to go down there. I'm assuming you can see where I'm pointing. So I don't know what you can see and what I can, but I've got to come down here. I know I've sort of shown this before, but if I put my foot down there, oh dear. Right, so I'll grab these bits. Right, so I'll put those under here. Gasket. Now, see, it's quite confined in here. It's a bit, what's it? Now, if I get this plate, oh, that's horrible. Oh dear. Okay. Hopefully you saw some of that. Now we've got to get through to there. So in there, oh dear. I'd like to point out, this is less fun for me to do than it is for you to watch. I know it's not a lot of fun for you to watch. Obviously, if we look through this one, through there is the foam tank. Anyway, if we squeeze through here, I don't want that. This is fortunately a bit wet in here, which is always nice for me to nail in. If I can get neat legs through. Right, so let's have a regroup, shall we? Put the tools and things over on this side. Got a feeling this is not going to be a successful piece of recording. I'm just going to get my phone out so I can see what you can see. Which is probably not much. Oh, disconnected. Great. Oh, actually, that's not so bad. Okay, I'll put that down there so I can keep an eye on what I'm looking at. We've got a gasket. No, wrong hole. Tell you what, I am happy with this. I'm very happy with this. Oh, look at that. That's like... Oh. It's like a nice cider on a hot day, that is. That's so nice. So, I'm really pleased. Right, so now... Get this bit. I don't think it matters which way it goes round. Hey! So, last time this was in place was probably... I took it out and then hurriedly put it back together again. If you remember when, well, you won't remember from watching my videos, but Lawrence from Extreme Garage, who used to have the Dennis Sabre, came and did a video with me. I put it back, put the plate in that week so we could put some water in the tank. And that was February 2020. So that's been a long time. I spent more time in this water tank than I have done, than I would have liked. But hopefully, once this is in, we won't have to worry about this for quite some time, not until we decide to give the truck a major service, and that is an awful lot of work away. Before we started, we didn't need to worry about that. Incidentally, I will show you if I can remember when I get home. I've managed to get something else to do with the Marlin that I'm very, very pleased with. So I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but this truck is featured in Commercial Motor magazine twice. Once a small article saying about it being to the NEC, and if you look on my Facebook page, I'm actually in a very short video that I did a while back, and there's a picture Not a very good picture, but a picture of the truck on the stand at the NEC when it was brand new, before it went to Manchester. How cool is that? And the second time was about the time that fire trucks went into receivership. It had a 2-page article in Commercial Motor, and I've managed to get a hold of that copy, so it's going to get noisy a second. Well, being a rubber seal, it shouldn't need too much holding it down. I'm hoping that's plenty. And that's that. So I won't bore you with me climbing back out and making a fool of myself again. But yeah, I'll speak to you in a minute. So I'm going to show you how I got the gasket made for the Marlin. Basically, I think it's a really useful thing, and it provided me with a lot of control over things. If I'd handwritten drawings and things can be misinterpreted sometimes, hand-drawn things, certainly with my drawing skills, they can be. So what I did, I created what's called a DXF file through using this program here called Onshape. Onshape's a CAD design package. It's actually one we use at work. I don't particularly use it very much because that's not my role. I've never really done a lot of CAD. But Onshape's got a very good online training package. As a hobby user, there is a free option, which is what I have in front of me here. It limits certain things, and obviously, if you see in the up near the top, it says your free subscription only allows public data. So it means that anybody could take the file that I've done for the Marlin's inspection cover gasket, and they could use that as the basis for something, or they could just download the file and go and get a load made. It certainly wouldn't matter to me if they did, because it's not going to do them a lot of good. Pay packages do allow you to have private data. So yeah, so the reason I'm using Onshape, it's the program I've had the best luck with learning, and it's actually not too from what I'm doing, it's not too bad. Now, if I load up the gasket down here, which I've already had made, you've seen me fit in, and you see a 3D representation of the gasket. I think I have even set the material, the colour and the material for this. I didn't need to. I didn't actually need a a 3-dimensional image to get it made. I did it for my own thing. Now, what I had to do to get it made was I had to create a sketch. Now, if I show you the sketch that was made for it and set it to a top view, it looks very cluttered of dimensions. Honestly, I probably could have done it with less dimensions and less clutter. But again, I'm in the very early stages of learning this sort of design work. And in a way, that's why I'm doing this video, because I'm not an expert at this. I've only been messing with this for a short period of time, and I've managed to get something made to a very high position without too much effort. So you can see the outside square is the outside of the gasket here. The inside square is the inside cut. Now, on the sketch, it doesn't differentiate between what you want and what you don't want. So if I zoom in here, you can see everything's grey. Grey means it's an enclosed area. So if I deleted one of the outside lines, then a big section of this would go white, and it would be telling me that that's not actually something. It's not a closed area. Once you've got a closed area, you can do all sorts of things with it. Again, this needs to be very simple. So I've got my 9.5mm holes with their spacings. So they're 16mm away from the outside edge. There's certain diameter distances away from each other. Again, I haven't done this in a particularly sensible way because I'm learning basically. This line here that's dotted is called a construction line. This line is something you can put in place, and you can make anything in the sketch an origin, but an origin will not translate to anything other than you laying out a sketch. So it gives you something you can measure from. So over on the right hand side here, you see two 55mm things. Well, those two holes are 110mm apart, but to make sure that they were centralized, I did them 150. I did them 55mm from the center line of the gasket, and worked out. I've done that on the top line as well, I think. I have. I've actually set it to 0 because it's dead on the center line. Since I did this drawing, I've learnt more about constraints. Constraints are a tool up in the top right hand corner on the toolbar. There's one here called midpoint. The constraints allow you to do an awful. It's you can guarantee that something's a right angle. You can say it's supposed to link up to that line. You can actually have a midpoint constraint. So I could have used a midpoint constraint here rather than setting the distance to 0. There's lots of different things, but again, I've learnt that since I've done this drawing. Once you've done the drawing in the sketch, you can come out. You then would have, if I just do this, this is what you can see. So this is back in your Part Studio window without the sketch. It's completely one-dimensional. You can see all the grey areas. Now I can pick a grey area like that one, and you can use a tool called Extrude, which I will show you in a minute actually, because there's something I can do with this to demonstrate it. I've extruded that surface, oops, by 3mm to make this. Now what I can do, just to show you how that works, if I zoom in here and I click that, which is the base of one of the holes on the sketch, I click the extrude tool up here. I'll tell it to be new because that way it won't change colour. Oh no, it hasn't because I've set the material. But you can now see that I can make that a raised section rather than being a hole. I can also make it symmetrical, so it's on both sides. Oh, it has gone grey, and that's basically how it works. I'm not going to save that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go back out to the Onshape documents. I'm going to go to the top left hand corner and create. I'm going to create a document. I'm going to call it test, just because and create a document. This will bring me into a completely blank workspace now. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to make a circular gasket. Which I might make a square gasket. That'll be simpler for me to show quickly. Because I don't want this. It's not supposed to be a full training video. It's just supposed to show you how easy it is to do things. So I've told it to create a sketch. I'm choosing the top plane, and it's put my sketch out there. I'm going to click the cube at the right hand side. I'm going to click the top of it, which will bring me into this. We've got various tools. You can see the lines here already. These are the planes. Now I can hide these planes. And now we've just got a blank workspace, but that makes things complicated because I've got no reference to reference anything from other than the origin point here, which is the center of the build. So if I, whoops, if I come off here, it's showing me a line to tell me I'm dead in line. If I click, drag this line down, it's got the line by the cursor again, which is telling me it's dead straight. And click that and press escape because I don't want another line. And then I click click on the line. I can go up to the top here and click construction, which is Q as a shortcut. That makes a dotted construction line. That line does not exist anywhere other than in my view here. What I should also do really, if I click the line tool again, I should put a cross one in just to make life a little bit easier. Again, escape to get rid of the tool. Oops, I'll highlight it first. So I've got two construction lines there. If I've gone to my square tool, I'm going to pull the square down. Now, if I click away from it and click escape to get rid of that tool, if I click or press D on the keyboard and I select those two, I can pull that out there. It's 73 millimeters. Now, I want that to be 50 millimeters. So I type 50 and it's dimension those. Because the lines have gone black instead of blue, that gives them a fixed point. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to make it 50 mil cube or 50 mil square. Now what we could do is make a circular hole in the middle of that, so it's a yeah, we'll click that again. If I use the escape and then press D, I can click the center of the circle to the edge, set that to 25. I can do the same again to these edges. Oops, I've gone over there. 25, and I'm going to set that to 30. So it's a nice size. There's a sketch I've got. If you want to do, there's other things you can do to it. I mean, I could fillet it. So we can put those two on there. So 5mm radius. So yeah, we'll say that's okay. Actually, let's go to a 10mm. We do these two sides. That's preset to 10. Now I've done it once. So we've got this flat thing here. For some reason, it's left these in place. So if I get the cut tool, I can cut away these pieces that I don't want, or that shouldn't be there. Oh, these are dimension lines. I can't cut those. Now this fillet for some reason has shown up as a construction line. So if I click that, tell it it's not a construction line, I've then got the grayed out area. So go back from my sketch into my my workspace. I want this piece needs to be my gasket. In fact, let's make it. Yeah. So if I click extrude, it's obviously become quite a big thing here. It's 25mm thick. That is the automatic way of doing it. You can choose which way it extrudes. You can tell it to go symmetrical from the plane. You can put offsets on it. Blind is just it will go as far as you tell it. The other things do different things. Through all, just make sure if there's other parts there, it will go all the way through. But I mean that's a bit thick for a gasket, so we'll leave it on blind, and we'll say again we'll do a 3mm gasket. It's going to be a rubber gasket that gets put in place somewhere, and that, if I click OK, is it. There's my three-dimensional part. So this, if I wanted to make it as into a shim, I could go over to the left here, and down in the bottom where it says part 1. If I right click, I've got the option to export. That gives me various files. If I export it as an STL, I'm not actually going to do this, but if I did, I could then get this made with a 3D printer. Because it's a three-dimensional thing, it will be able to 3D print it. Or you could send it as a step file to or a little different file to a machine shop, and they'll be able to machine it from something. The other thing we can do is if we go back into the sketch, oh, not, in fact, I don't even think I need to go into the sketch. If I right click on the sketch, I have the option of export as a DXF DWG. If I obviously name it, export it as a DXF, that will basically send a copy of the one-dimensional part to the so basically it will make what you can see on the screen here. I'm not being very explanatory with this. It's not the easiest thing to explain for me. It will send these set of lines into a file, and they will have dimensions. It won't tell anybody what the dimension is. It will just give a number. So you'll have, for this circle, it will say this is a radius of 30. It will say that the center of this circle is 25 from this edge. This edge is 50 from this edge. This has a radius of 10. But it won't say whether that's feet, inches, meters, miles. The reason that is it's not fixed. So my workspace is set up in millimeters at the moment, and so long as the people that open it into a workspace that is using millimeters, it will be absolutely perfect. So literally, I've just exported my gasket into I think it was into a DXF, and I've emailed it off to Keith Payne Products. In fact, I emailed it to a lot of companies, but Keith Payne got back to me very quickly. In fact, they're the only company to get back to me. They gave me a reasonable price to get it made in EPDM rubber, and I paid them the money, and within a week I had my gasket. I am going to probably do a bit more on Onshape on CAD side in a future video, but that's because I want to get some folded metal work done, some three-dimensional things done. And so that's going to be, I've got to learn how to do that. Once I've learned how to do it and I get something made, I'll try to give you an idea. But seriously, if you need gaskets and things making and you want the precision, if you've got um, a, a laptop that's got or a computer that's got a decent, half decent graphics card in it, doesn't have to be amazing. It's not particularly specification heavy Onshape. That's the nice thing about it. With their online training, you're very quickly, and also with Google asking how do I do this, you'll very quickly be able to make up things to get precision gaskets made, and from there more complicated parts. I think it's absolutely fantastic to be able to do that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. This has run on longer than I was expecting, which is nothing unusual. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.